The village was quiet that afternoon, a soft breeze rustling the leaves in the trees. Amy had spent most of the day keeping herself busy, trying not to think too much about everything, especially Golden Heart. But no matter how hard she tried to focus on her tasks, her thoughts kept drifting back to him. She wasn't avoiding him exactly, but she hadn't sought him out either. The space between them still felt safe, even if it was starting to make her uneasy. The more she heard about him from the other villagers, the more she felt that gnawing sense of guilt creeping in. They all spoke so kindly of him, about how helpful he'd been, how he was always there to lend a hand or a kind word. Amy sighed, rubbing her temples as she sat on the porch of her hut. Her heart felt heavy with conflicting emotions. Part of her wanted to reach out, to talk to him, but the fear of getting close to someone again kept her rooted in place. As she sat there, lost in thought, a quiet knock on the door startled her. She stood up, her pulse quickening as she wondered who it could be. She opened the door slowly, and there he was, Golden Heart. His gentle smile greeted her, but she could see the faint nervousness in his eyes, as if he was unsure of how she'd react.
Hey,
He said softly, holding something behind his back.
I wanted to stop by. I know things have been a little complicated between us.
Amy blinked, her heart skipping a beat.
Oh, yeah, I guess they have.
She replied, her voice quieter than she intended. She hadn't expected to see him, and the sudden appearance left her feeling off balance. Golden Heart stepped forward slightly, revealing what he'd been holding, a small, beautifully wrapped package. He held it out to her, his expression sincere.
I got you something.
He said, his voice soft and careful.
I hope it's okay. I thought you might like it.
Amy hesitated, staring at the gift in his hands. She felt a mix of emotions wash over her. Surprise, confusion, and something else she couldn't quite place. Why would he give her something? What had she done to deserve this kind of kindness from him?
You didn't have to do that.
She murmured, her fingers hovering over the package but not quite taking it yet.
I know,
Golden Heart replied, his eyes meeting hers.
but I wanted to.
Slowly, Amy reached out and took the gift from him. The wrapping was simple but elegant, and she could feel the care he'd put into choosing it. She swallowed, unsure of what to say. She wasn't used to this, people giving her things just because they wanted to, without any strings attached. Her fingers carefully unwrapped the package, revealing a small, delicate pendant inside. It was beautiful, shaped like a single golden rose, with intricate details etched into the petals. The craftsmanship was stunning, and Amy found herself momentarily lost in its beauty.
Where did you get this?
She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She looked up at him, her eyes searching his for answers. Golden Heart hesitated for a moment, a small, almost shy smile crossing his face.
I found it in the place I can't really explain.
He said softly, his voice carrying a touch of mystery.
It reminded me of you.
Amy blinked, her heart doing that strange thing again, the thing it did whenever Golden Heart looked at her with that quiet intensity, as if he saw more of her than she was ready to show. She wasn't sure how to respond. The pendant was beautiful, and the gesture was kind, but there was something about his words that left her feeling unsettled. He saw something in her. But what?
This is really beautiful.
She finally said, her fingers brushing over the delicate rose.
I don't know what to say.
You don't have to say anything.
Golden Heart replied gently.
I just wanted you to have it. I thought it might remind you that even when things are hard, there's always beauty around us. Sometimes we just need a little reminder.
Amy's breath caught in her throat, His words hit her deeper than she expected, and she felt that familiar ache in her chest, the one she'd been trying so hard to ignore. She looked down at the pendant again, her heart racing.
I don't deserve this.
She said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper.
I've been so distant with you. I don't know why you'd even...
Amy,
Golden Heart interrupted, his tone gentle but firm.
you don't have to explain anything to me. I know you're going through something, and I'm not here to push you. I want you to know that I care, and I'll be here whether you're ready to talk or not.
His words washed over her, bringing with them a wave of emotion that Amy wasn't prepared for. She clenched her fists around the pendant, struggling to keep her walls intact. She wanted to believe him, wanted to let herself trust someone again, but the fear still lingered. It was so hard to let go.
I don't know if I can.
She whispered, her voice trembling with the weight of her feelings.
I don't know if I can trust anyone anymore.
Golden Heart nodded slowly, his eyes filled with understanding.
That's okay.
He said softly,
You don't have to trust me right away, but I'm not going anywhere. I'll give you the time you need.
Amy swallowed hard, the lump in her throat growing. She didn't know why, but his words made her want to cry. She blinked rapidly, trying to hold back the tears that threatened to spill over. This was too much kindness, too much patience. She didn't know how to handle it. But somehow, standing there with Golden Heart, holding the delicate pendant he'd given her, she felt a glimmer of something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. It was small, fragile, and almost impossible to grasp. But it was there, buried deep beneath the layers of pain and fear she'd carried for so long. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Amy wondered if maybe, just maybe, she could let someone in again.
I'll try.
She whispered, her voice barely audible. Golden Heart smiled, a warm, genuine smile that made her heart flutter despite herself.
That's all I ask.
He said gently.
Just try.
As Amy stood there, clutching the pendant, she realized that perhaps, with time, she might be able to find her way back to herself. And maybe, just maybe, Golden Heart was the person who could help her do that. But for now, she would take it one step at a time, and that was enough.